day, everyone. Welcome to this subject, Social Studies, grade 9A and 9B students. Your teacher here, Miss Michelle Joy. This serves as a recap or makeup class, especially for the students who aren't able to join our virtual class today. Let's proceed to our online discussion now. Class, before we proceed to our online discussion, I would like us to have a short recap or review of the last topics that we have discussed last week. So the first one is unemployment. So when we say unemployment, it means they don't have a job, they are looking for jobs, and they are available for work. The second topic that we have discussed is about business cycle. So business cycle, it shows the expansion, the peak, depression or recession and trough of a business. And business cycle exists as long as your business exists. And the last topic that we have discussed is about the types of unemployment. We have discussed about structural, seasonal, cyclical, and frictional. So these are the topics that we have discussed last week. Class, the objectives of our lesson for today. The first one is students must be able to know what absolute advantage is. Number two, students must be able to know what import and export is. Number three, students must be able to know what comparative advantage is. So at the end of the lesson, I expect you that you already know or have an idea about what an absolute advantage is, what import and export is, and of course, what comparative advantage is. So class, our topics for today are the following. Letter A, trading, import and export. And letter B, comparative advantage. These are the words to learn that we will be encountering all throughout our slide. Please repeat after me so you can still practice your reading skills and your speaking skills even if you're just at home. Are you ready now? Let's start reading. Number one, comparative advantage. Number two, absolute advantage. Number three, international trade. Number four, import. And number five, export. Now let's read the meaning of these words one by one for better understanding of our topic for today. Comparative advantage. It is the ability of an individual, firm, or country to produce a good or service at a lower opportunity cost than other producers. Cherries and apple, example. Next, we have absolute advantage. A country has an absolute advantage in the production of a good when it can produce more of that good than another country with the same resources. The third word is international trade. So international trade involves the exchange of goods and services using money, of course, between nations or countries. This is described in terms of exports. So what do you mean by exports? They are the goods and services sold in foreign markets or other countries, and imports, the goods or services bought from foreign producers or foreign countries. Next word is import. So what do you mean by import? So import is the act of bringing in a good or service from a foreign country. So you went out of your country and then you visit some other country and then you buy things from that country and bring it to your own country. That is import. It is the actual good or service brought from a foreign country. The last word is export. So export means ship, exportation, transport, send, sell abroad, transmit, send abroad, consign, disseminate, and convey. So it is the exact opposite of import. So when you say export, it is the selling of goods and services to other countries. So these are the five words that can help us better understand our topic for today. Let's read them again one by one. Comparative, absolute advantage, international trade, import, and export.
What is international trade? International trade refers to the exchange of goods and services from one country to another. In other words, imports and exports. Imports flow into a country from abroad, while exports flow out of a country and are sold overseas. There are two types of international trade: visible and invisible trade. Visible trade refers to the buying and selling of solid, tangible goods between countries, while invisible trade refers to the buying and selling of services. A nation's current account balance is the total visible plus invisible exports minus all visible plus invisible imports. If an economy exports more than it imports, it has a trade surplus. On the other hand, if an economy's imports are greater than its exports, then it has a trade deficit. International trade benefits whole economies and consumers. Consumers have a greater variety of goods to choose from and are available at lower prices. If countries can trade, there is better allocation and utilization of resources. By competing against other nations, companies become more efficient and produce better goods. Countries that trade a lot tend to have lower unemployment than protectionist nations. International trade also enables countries to sell their surplus produce. And lastly, international trade fosters peace, goodwill, and mutual understanding between nations. Thank you for watching this Markets Business News video on international trade.
Class, let us read about international trade. Please only read the ones with the underline because they are the important ones. Okay, please highlight them in your book. So, international trade. Countries trade with each other as each has goods and services that it can produce more than the other. This is called absolute advantage. So, if you have a product that you can produce on your own and you sell it to other country, that is absolute advantage. So absolute advantage, it is the ability of one country to produce more output per unit of input than another country can. And there are two groups of products class. Number one, import goods bought from other countries for domestic use. Okay, so they could be raw materials or finished products. And the second one is exports, goods sold to other countries. It could be agricultural products, engineering, or scientific instruments. Okay, class, now comparative advantage is the ability of a country to produce a product. Like here in Thailand, you can produce jasmine rice. And because you can produce jasmine rice, when you sell it inside this country, then the price is low compared to another product or another kind of rice that came from other country. Now, it is not only in a greater quantity but also at a lower opportunity cost than another country. Now, class, different problems could come up when trading among nations. So, of course, there are also problems when doing international trades. And these problems could be currencies, exchange rates, different languages, and cultures between various trading partners. So, some nations may set restrictions to discourage or limit trade or even stop it. And these are what you call trade barriers. Now, class, just a summary of the topics we have discussed today. So, the first one is comparative advantage. So, what do you mean by comparative advantage? It means a country enjoys a comparative advantage in the production of a good when that good can be produced at a lower cost in terms of other goods. We also studied about absolute advantage. So absolute advantage refers to the ability of a person, a firm, or nation to produce more of a product with same amount of resources or same quantity of a product with fewer amounts of resources. So these were the these two topics that we have discussed today. Now, class, for your activity, which is of course live worksheet, I will post the link in Google Classroom. So it is international trade quiz. So classify the following as either visible export, visible import, or invisible export, and invisible import. So you just have to press this down key in here and choose the correct answer. Click finish and click check my answer. Screenshot your scores and upload in social studies album in your class line group. Good luck everyone! So class, we now come to the end of our discussion for today. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions that you want to ask Miss MJ, please feel free to call me or send me a message in my private line account and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I'll see you again tomorrow for our PA1. Good luck everyone. Thank you very much.